Now, it's not often that I find a product that I didn't think I actually needed or wanted, and then I bring it in and it completely changes all the things I thought I could do on a set. And I was really, really happy to find one recently in this Telesin C40 portable smoke machine. Now, when I say this thing is a portable smoke machine, I mean, look at this. I'm not attached to anything, but I can sit now and make some haze and smoke basically anywhere, wherever I want to go for it. And this little C40 packs a lot of really cool features that someone that has used a lot of smoke machines and hazers in the past on a lot of different projects, man, I didn't know that I wanted some of the things this thing can do, and now that I've experienced a portable smoker and fogger and hazer, this thing really, really gets me excited about the possibilities for what I can shoot in the future. Okay, now the Telesin C40, as I said, is a portable smoke machine, and what's really nice about it, it's got the battery built here into the body that you charge via this USB-C input. It charges up pretty fast, and I was able to go out and do some testing with this thing. I went out and did a shoot with it, and I was able to run, honestly, with this thing for several hours and barely dented the battery. So I think this is one of those things that if you're using it sporadically through a day, it'll easily last a day. Now, if you're using it continuously, obviously you're gonna drain it a lot faster, but I found that for what you'd use a smoke machine like this for, the battery was more than sufficient to get what I needed in a day. Now, I think there's a definite situational component to having a handheld smoke machine that makes it so much more practical than having a traditional fogger or hazer or anything like that. And it really comes down to if you find yourself in a situation that you're maybe in a fast-moving environment like photography or product photography, or you're in a situation where you're doing B-roll and video, you need to be moving a lot of fast places. Well, having a traditional fogger or hazer in that situation just doesn't make any sense, because it's a big box, you gotta carry it around, you gotta plug it in, you have to wait several minutes for it to heat up and get ready to go, and then you don't have the flexibility where to go. That's not where a hazer or fogger traditionally would make any sense. What's great now is because you have this handheld unit, you can literally cut it on, and that fast, I can just sit here, I hit a button, and right away, now I can get fog ready to go right away. The other thing that I really liked about having a handheld fogger was I could walk around and direct it very, very quickly. So let's say I just want some fog behind me, I can sit there, go behind me like this, and come up. If I want some down in the front, I can do it. Now, I'm a big believer that if I have any piece of equipment, the one thing I want is it needs to be reliable, it needs to be easy to work, and I need to be able to go with it fast because I don't want to be distracted by it on the day. And this C40 really, really does come in to all that. Now, there's a couple things about this that I think are really cool that I just want to point out real quick. The first is it's got a power button here. It's got a really nice kind of display here that lets you know, and you can click through, and it's got a number of different settings. So if you come on here, you'll see it's got a free setting, which is sort of lets you dial in exactly how much fog you want and the fan speed you want. It's got a steam function, which is a very kind of subtle thing, which is great if you're doing food photography and just want to have a little bit of steam rising off a plate. Definitely a cool thing. It's got a full-on fog effect, which is the big fog effect, and it has got a dry ice effect. And I really want to come back and talk about this dry ice effect because, in my opinion, if this thing was just a dry ice machine, it would make it worth it in and of itself, but we'll come back to that. Now, as you can see, it does have 4 little buttons here on the front that let you dial in the settings. You can switch between the areas like that, or if you want to, you can actually come here to free, and you can dial in both the fog amount and the fan amount to get different settings. So it's extremely, extremely customizable, and in any of the other settings you have, you can actually customize the setting as well. So I really like having that freedom and flexibility. And then once you dial in the setting and do it, you just hit this button on the top, and boom, it goes right off. And as you can see, this thing fits really, really well in your hand. It's very, very comfortable. But the thing I like about this is not only is it handheld, but look at this. It's got a 1/4-inch jack on the bottom that lets you basically put this, if you need to put this on a stand or something like that, it's very, very easy to do. Or let's say you just want to have it set it down somewhere. Check this out. The front of it pops up, and it is a remote. So I can do all the dials here, but I can sit here from far away and let it go. This is a really, really useful feature to have if you want to set it up in a situation and just have it popping every once in a while, but you don't want to be on it. And the remote does get you some pretty good distance. I know it's never more than say 30 meters away from it, which I think is a stated range. But in any kind of situation where I was in a realistic set environment, I could set this up and easily use the remote. It's wireless. It worked really, really well which is nice. And this has one more function where you can actually set a timer on this, so it'll go off on a set time based, which is another thing that if you have any kind of haze machine, it's something that's going to be very, very useful, because sometimes you just want to have like a general atmosphere going. This will absolutely let you do that. The other component of this that I think you need to be aware of is going to be the output capacity of something so small. Now you look at something like this, and your first question is going to be, what kind of output can I get in this? This is actually going to be practical for a bigger set. Well, I can tell you from the fact I recently went and actually was shooting on a stage in a venue, and we were going really fast. We were shooting a drummer, just shooting, and this thing right here had a ton of output. I was completely shocked. I was literally able to smoke up an entire venue from this one little handheld machine. Now, please be aware, we were only shooting there for about an hour. We put out a ton of smoke, but this thing more than held up. Honestly, the capacity of this was right up there with what I would expect from a normal smoke machine or fog machine. So I was blown away at the output capacity of this. If you're in any normal size room, even if you're in a bigger size room and you don't need it for like 10 or 12 hours, this is going to be more than enough to get you by on what you need. Now to operate this, it is pretty straightforward. It's got some random attachments right here, and this is basically what it looks like in the case. You basically pop up this top here, and what you have is you have the oil chamber right here, and it is this small. This is the size of the oil chamber. And luckily it does come with some heating oil, which you basically can pop right in there. It's got a little rubber top right here. You can pop that up and then just pour your oil in there. So it's pretty straightforward. And then you just sit there and we can go on. You can just screw that in very, very quickly. Pop that on, it's screwed on. And then I can take the top here, pop it on, and now I'm ready to start blowing some fog and smoke. Now, one thing I really like about this Telesin C40 as well is the fact that it comes with a lot of flexibility in how you can kind of put stuff out. And you can see here, it's actually got these multiple attachments that let you put different things together. Now, this here is kind of a long form attachment that I like, because this is great because it spreads the smoke over a long way. And it's got this foam, which helps to really spread it out. So you can see if I spray it here like this without the foam, it'll just pop it on out. But what I find the foam does, it helps to really diffuse it and spread it out in a very cool, even if you're using regular fog, it kind of makes it in a sort of dry ice type setting, which I found to be very, very useful. Now, if you want to have a little more of a like directional pop, you also have these things right here. So this is like a actual directional one that pops it straight out. Hey, Benji, how are you doing? Buddy, I am filming, hon. I am filming. Huh? I love you. My son is obviously very excited about this too. But so you can sit there and pop it right out. But this thing has a little foam start too, which gives you a really cool little look here that lets it just diffuse and come out much more. It really creates a good smoky kind of look. I'm smoking this thing all up here. Be interested to see how the Canon autofocus does here. But the other thing I really like about this straight one is this one will actually allow you to go at an angle. So for instance, right now I have to point down if I want to get stuff down on a table, but check this out. They have these components here that let you create angled shooting, and they're kind of like Legos. They kind of come apart. I'll show this right here. And if you put them together, it'll give you these sort of different joints. I have like a right angle joint right here, but if I want to go down, I can put these all together, and check this out. Now, if I have like a tabletop or something like that, I can easily just come down, and I'm not tipping the thing upside down. I can just basically do that. It's actually a nice little touch when you're doing product stuff, because it just lets you really get, a lot of times you are getting stuff on tables and stuff and you're in a downward position. I really like this. It was really nice. Also makes it really useful if you do have this thing on a remote. You can set this thing over here to the side. You can pop the remote over there, and you have this just off camera, for instance, and then every once in a while, if you want to like get a product that happens to be right here, you can just spray it up, and it'll spray it up, and you'll be good to go because you have that remote. So as you can see, just as a fogger, this thing really packs a lot of creative outlets and choice, which I really love. But I want to talk about the dry ice function of this, because in my opinion, as someone that's actually used a lot of foggers and hazers, working and creating dry ice honestly has been such a huge pain. This thing lets you do it in the palm of your hand with the touch of a button. And what's great is when you get the dry ice, especially if you have a diffuser on there, you will see, I'll try and get it here on the table, you will see how this thing will just sit there and just live on the table. And it creates this really, really beautiful dry ice effect. I just really can't believe how easy it is to get on a handheld device like that. And once you start playing with it, you just feel so much more creative because it just unlocks a lot of creativity in what you can do. So I was really, really impressed here with this Telesin C40. And I also love the fact that it does come with a case. So you can basically put everything here in the case and keep it all nice and tidy, which is fantastic because this is so small. Now, every time I do a review, I always like to point out rooms for improvement because no product is perfect. And the things I would say about this C40 right now are pretty small, but they are things I think, I don't even know if they're rooms for improvement, but they're definitely things that you need to be aware of when you're doing it. The first thing is, if you are going to use this thing for a significant amount of time, just be aware this case can get pretty hot. So if you go for a long time, just be aware of the heat of it. The other thing that I would say is, while I love the design of this little oil cartridge that lets you go so fast, I did find that you can push the top down there and it's fine. It's not going to bother you in the day. But when you're storing it, like let's say I'm in this situation now where I haven't used up all of my oil here, I found that even when I pushed it in my case, it did kind of leak. So you had a little bit of mess when you got in there. That's not a huge thing, but just be aware of how you store this because if you have oil in there, it could leak. It is just something to be aware of. But all things considered, this was a knockout product for me. I'll be honest with you. I did not expect that I needed a handheld fogger, and then I got it, and within the first day of getting it, I don't think I'm going to really be showing up on many sets without it because of the flexibility it allows me to just go and run so much with it. Anyway, guys, this was just one of those things I really had a lot of fun finding out about, and just want to let you all know that was out there because it might be something that makes your life a little more interesting when you're out there shooting. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Leave me any notes and comments down below, and yeah, go out there, keep on shooting. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon.